David Black. Save smart, drive safe.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, fellow members and guests. We all like to save money, right?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Sure we do. Whether we're clipping coupons out of the newspaper to save money on groceries or shopping around to make sure we get the best deal on the new TV, we like to save money. Most of the ways that we can save money are fairly straightforward and pretty safe, but sometimes in the pursuit of saving money, things can go a little bit too far. I'd like to tell you about one such pursuit and my experience with it. I'm going to tell you about drafting semi-trucks. So first, allow me to explain what drafting is. Drafting is basically when you're using the air displacement of a vehicle in front of you to help your car go a little bit faster and have less gas used. If you imagine all of the particles in air, as a truck drives down the road, it needs to push the air out of the way, and as it passes through the space, the air will rush back to fill in the void. If you're driving close enough behind that vehicle, then you can take advantage of the air disturbance between you, and your car has to work less hard, which means you use less gas, and you get to save some money. You can see examples of drafting used in sports. If you watch a bicycling race or NASCAR, you'll notice that the competitors will ride close together in packs, and in cycling they'll often rotate out who's in the lead so that everyone in the group can go a little bit faster with a little less effort. Further evidence for drafting comes from the Mythbusters. They had an episode on big rig myths in which they tested the myth that you can increase your miles per gallon by drafting a semi-truck. In their investigations, they found that from about 100 feet away from a semi-truck, they could get about 10% increased miles per gallon, and from just 10 feet behind the semi-truck, they could get up to 40% increased savings. Now, they did recommend or say that at 10 feet, it's not really a smart thing to drive behind a semi-truck. But as you can imagine, it sounds pretty great. You can save money on gas. So when I first heard about drafting and was really introduced to the concept 5 years ago, my wife Laura and I were just married and heading down to Florida from Michigan on our honeymoon. So I thought, that's a long stretch of road. I can try out drafting and see if it really works. So as we went on the trip, I looked around and found a semi-truck driving at about 65, and I pulled in behind him. I tried out distance a little bit to get comfortable with it, a little closer, a little further. And I could feel a little bit of difference, but it's not a huge difference when you're drafting. So as I drove along with him, I got a little more comfortable and actually started to bond with this semi-truck. It was a little bit of nighttime driving, so as I was driving along, the semi-truck would slow down for a road hazard, and I would slow down too and say, "Thank you, friend, I might have missed that." So I continued along with the semi-truck for what might have been 100 miles. And I was driving along, and then I looked up in my rearview mirror and noticed that there was a cop car following us. Now, the cop car didn't have his lights on, but he wasn't passing us either. Thought to myself that perhaps he wanted to address something with the truck, so I decided to back off in case he wanted to get between us. Soon after I backed off, the lights went on and I was getting pulled over. As my friend the semi-truck drove away, the officer came up and calmly explained to me that the truck driver had been on the radio for a while now, talking about a car that would not leave him alone. He said that the truck driver mentioned he had even slowed down a few times to try and get the car to pass. The car just wouldn't budge. The officer explained that I was in the truck's blind spot, And that can make for stressful driving with a truck driver because he doesn't know where I'm at, so he doesn't know when it's safe to change lanes. He also mentioned that at the point where the truck was slowing down, it was probably a good idea that I didn't try to pass, because sometimes truck drivers get upset enough to actually run drivers off the road. So, with this sober knowledge coming into my mind, the police officer was gracious enough to let me off with a warning for my ignorance and told me to continue on and drive safely. So what I would like you to get out of this speech is that in the pursuit of saving money, it is always best to take any new approach and look at it cautiously and with a mindful respect to others. Drafting behind semi-trucks can save you money, but it can be more dangerous for yourself, for other people in your car, and it can infuriate the person who you are drafting as well. So when you drive, drive safe, and when you save, save smart. Thank you.